Today we have a tactic that is a perfect example of why you need to take control of your own tactics and your own players and teams and things like that, and not leave it up to the sim. Let's take a look. This tactic is called the 4-3-3 Suffocator, and this guy has done his work. Whenever I complain that people don't put any descriptions or anything into the Steam Workshop page, he has done the opposite. He has filled it out to the nth degree and has so much information in there. It is definitely worth downloading and trying out. Unfortunately, if we take a look quickly at the league table, did not work out for my sim. Wolves in 10th, Newcastle in 12th, Tottenham in 14th place, 45 points. An absolutely horrific showing. Only 6 points off Everton in relegation zone. Definitely not worth using if you're just going to sim. However, this is a fantastic one to take a look at because I'll show it on the screen, but there is so much information on this in the description for this tactic. It is definitely worth taking a look at. He says that you can call it a 4-1-2-2-1, a 4-5-1, 4-3-3 DM, whatever you want to call it. It is basically 4-3-3 because it's 4 defenders, 3 midfielders, 3 attackers, as you can see if we go back to the tactics screen. But in defense, it is a 4-5-1 all the way. He has tips. He has, notes that you should take a look at and read. And honestly, just for that information alone, it's worth trying out. He did try it out with Borussia Mönchengladbach, so take that for what it's worth. We have Tottenham, we have Wolves, we have Newcastle here. Let's just dive into it, though. This is called the 4-3-3 Suffocator. The picture on the Steam Workshop is not one I would generally want to see, but it kind of brings you in, and then you can see all the information that this dude has put in there. So tactics itself, you can see it's a sweeper keeper in defense, a fullback on attack on both sides, a ball-playing defender in defend on both sides, ball-winning midfielder in defense, a Mazzala in support, a deep-lying playmaker in support, 2 inverted wingers on attack, and then a poacher up front in attack. It is a custom tactical style, cautious mentality, so you are sitting back a little, kind of getting a little bit of pressure, in possession, attacking with its standard, play out of defense, passing directness is shorter, tempo is slightly higher, mix crosses, work the ball in the box, and run at defense. In transition, counter press, counter, distribute to the fullbacks and the center backs. And then out of possession, high press line of engagement, higher defensive line, trigger press much more often, prevent short goalkeeper distribution, and trap inside. But as we said, it did not work for any of the teams here. If we look at the schedules, you can see Tottenham's schedule has a lot of draws. I mean, you start off with an awful August, only 1 loss though to RB Salzburg, but then a series of unbeaten, ton of draws that you can definitely pick up if you're taking it, on your own. But FC Copenhagen, Fulham, Crystal Palace, all of these games you should win. Wolves, West Ham, Bayern Munich 2-3 is a fantastic result. I mean, you're losing, but still only by 1, and it's away from home. So Aston Villa though, Leeds. You just are so spotty. And then, wow, February, all the way through to the 5-0 win against Newcastle. That is just an awful set right there. Definitely could win more. You're still in the Champions League up until this point, but PSG just kick you out easily. FA Cup losing out to Liverpool. EFL Cup, where are you? Losing out to Leeds United 0-1. And that's Tottenham. Newcastle is a lot spottier. I mean, they have a nice August with only 2 losses till 2-6 against Liverpool. But then you got a series of just an awful October. 5-0 over Aston Villa is fantastic. Everything else, not so much. And only, minus this Bournemouth, 0-2. 1-all draw, 0-1, 0-1. You can definitely pick up wins against some of those teams and just better this standing. But second half of the season, not great. Losing out 1-4 to Man City in the FA Cup 4th round. EFL Cup, you lose out to Brighton 3-4. Wolves, spotty altogether. Loss, then a draw, or win, then a loss, then a win, then a draw. It's no real runs whatsoever. You are continuing in the FA Cup final. Liverpool again. 0-3 is the way out. Again, as I always say, you got to a final. That is definitely worth something. EFL Cup, though, where do you lose out? You can see right off the bat, Nottingham Forest 0-1 loss. Definitely could have won that if you're taking control and following this dude's direction. Transfer-wise for Tottenham, as you can see, Emre Can from Borussia Dortmund coming in, Joseph Stala from Zagreb, and Tony Weston from Rangers. Some of those names we've seen before, but Emre Can is an interesting one. No one out except Niall John. Max Robinson out for 160k. No one big. Newcastle, you do have Alex Scott, Ronnie Edwards, Oscar Aranda, Matteo Politano, Kai Kennedy, and Ruben Loftus-Cheek all coming in after September thereabouts. Edison Alvarez in August. And no one out except Mark Gillespie to Crystal Palace, 425. Wolves spending some money this time. Miguel Veloso comes in. Wilson Manafá comes in from SC Porto for 850k. Yuri Medeiros from SC Braga for 19 million, the only kind of big name that they've actually bought. But Ruben Neves out to PSG for 54 million. And then Lembikisa to Norwich for 725, as we've seen before. Data hubs, as you can see, analysis over this is for Tottenham. Attacking and defensive performance indicates that although we were shaky in defense, we were good in attack. And as you can see, they were a little bit better than Premier League average, but still not enough to get them. I mean, 45 points is just still an awful tally. Fouls per game, you can see they were very well ahead of the league, but overall, Tottenham's performance was not good at all. Newcastle, however, okay defensively, good in attack. You could see they have a bit more to go than Tottenham did. Dribbles per game, crosses completion per game, doing fairly well, a lot better. Everything else is fairly on par with Tottenham, or actually even a little worse. Fouls per game is just through the roof, just like Tottenham. Defensively, not great. And as we finish with Wolves, you could see not much better. Weak defensively, generally okay in attack. Yeah, their attacking side, not great. Only fouls per game is actually above the league average, which isn't great. But everything else is either on or below. And on the defensive side, fouls per game, definitely lower. That was nice, but interceptions per game is higher. Overall, everything else is just not great. Well below the league average, so not really worth it. Premier League stats-wise, Newcastle with 53 goals, fewest shots, Tottenham with 471, or fewer shots against, I should say. Fewest conceded, Wolves in there with 51. Most shutouts, nobody. Most tackles, one, nobody. Shots for, Tottenham and Newcastle in there. And then most points per game, nobody. So overall, I mean, again, they finished so poorly in the tables that you wouldn't expect them in much of this, in many of these categories at all. Most goals, though. Harry Kane with 22. Alexander Isak with 18. So, I mean, they're in the mix. Erling Haaland with 42 goals. I mean, he's always going to be up there. Most assists, Saint-Maximin and Son are up there with 9 apiece. Not too bad for them. Most player of the match awards, Harry Kane with 6. And that's it. Fewest conceded, Dubravka, Newcastle, Nick Pope with Newcastle. So they're really spreading it out. And then most shutouts, you can see Hugo Lloris with Tottenham at 12. Most tackles, one, nobody. Key passes, Pablo Sarabia is finally back in the mix. Trippier with 91. And then most shots, Kane and Alexander Isak, 94 and 95 apiece. So, I mean, some of these are average, some of them not too much. It's good to see Sarabia back in the mix. Overall, finishing it out, player stats for all competitions. Harry Kane is the top goal scorer with 27, 704 highest average rating, and Son, Kulusevski, and Pedro Porro with 9 assists apiece, and then Harry Kane with 6 player of the match awards. Alexander Isak with an average 20 goals, 705 at highest average rating. It's actually probably a little low for him. 9 assists for Saint-Maximin and 6 player of the match awards for Alexander Isak. Overall, definitely fairly average for this team. And Wolves, highest on the list in our league table, Raul Jimenez with 22 goals. Jimenez with 704 highest average rating. Definitely could have been worse. I'm wondering if they spread it out a little bit with some of these high average ratings or a little maybe above or close to 7. But Semedo with 9 assists. And then Raul Jimenez with 6 player of the match award. So Porro and Sarabia not in this list whatsoever, which we've come to expect. But overall, yeah, if you're looking to sim, if you're looking to play a director of football type of challenge where you're simming everything and you're just coming up with the transfer yourselves, I don't know about that. This is definitely not a tactic for you. However, if you're going to actually get into the weeds, get into every single match, play it as you would normally play Football Manager, definitely take a look. This guy has so much information in there. It's definitely worth taking a look just for the amount of time he's put into it. So with that said, I am Saint-Maximin FM for the Football Manager blog channel saying thank you as always for watching. Take care and enjoy.